All right. Okay, so Brad, we're recording this for a couple of reasons. One, it's a record for you and me and Aaron, but it's also because it's something that I teach, and I call it. And I'm teaching Carina Guzman. I'm coaching her, so I'm coaching you and Aaron, and I'm coaching her. So I don't know if you call that a conflict of interest or it's synergistic. I prefer the term synergistic, but just so everybody knows, I coach both all parties here. But I teach something, and you know this, in the land development business called phase zero. And phase zero is just a term that I'm using today, but I've been doing this since I got into the land development business, 40 years ago. And phase zero is something that you do in order to generate some cash flow from your project and also to give it some forward momentum. And it has to be fairly simple in the land development business. So, typically that you would buy a piece of land for, just making up numbers, for $1 million. Maybe it's 10 acres, and you'd sever off 2 acres and sell that for $750,000. So you'd have, 8 acres left that cost you, a fraction of what you paid for it. So that's kind of a phase zero. Severance can be quite simple, fast, inexpensive to do. So that's a phase zero. When I did Robertson Mews, which was a subdivision in Bell's Corners, I think we owned 16 acres of development land, urban development land, municipal services. And phase zero on that project was I built 4 beautiful townhomes, because you can get a building permit pretty much on any land without doing severances, without doing anything, just you can get a building permit. So I built 4 beautiful townhouses, like really, really nice. They're still there, of course, and they look beautiful. But it was my calling card for the rest of the development. And back then I was doing roads and water mains and sewers and servicing the land and selling the lots to builders. So I didn't build that many homes myself, but I built some as like I said, like a business card, right? When I did the Trails of Dunrobin, which was, I don't know, about 100 homes in Dunrobin, before I even did the subdivision, I put a retail plaza on the corner there, which you know about, right? The one that blew down, unfortunately, in the tornado of 2018. But
yeah.
But there was a meat and grocery store in there, a Canada Post, a pizzeria, an LCBO outlet, a beer store, a chiropractor. And so when people moved into the subdivision, they said, "Oh, look, my kids could go there and get a liter of milk or a popsicle or something." So I've been doing it for a long time. And what I wanted to show you was, and this is relevant to small living company, and Carina is aware, of course, that you and I talk. So I'll show you what I have in mind, and it does have relevance to small living companies. So let me share this with you. So this is her project in Pembroke. You're aware of it, right?
Yep.
It's about 185 acres or 186 acres. It does not include the self-storage business up here. It does not include, I think, the house on the corner here, but it does include this sand pit.
Right.
So they make a little bit of money from the sand pit. Probably they should make more, but whatever. They get some revenue from the sand pit. And then in the corner here, they have a very intense use plan, multi-res, commercial, all kinds of really cool stuff. And they have a very good architect working with them I think from Toronto.
Okay.
His name is Ray Moriyama, brilliant guy. And so he's designing just a fantastic subdivision for them here, and it'll be mixed use. It'll have multi-res, it'll have single family homes, it'll have townhouses, it'll have commercial. And again, as part of phase zero, they're going to sever off in this area here between 5 and 10 acres, maybe even more than 10 acres, which they will sell to a developer who wants to, build, like a Shoppers Drug Mart or an A&W or something like that. It's commercial, but there might be some, at the back, there might be some multi-res too. So it could be a 10 or 12 acre block, as big as that, maybe even 15 acres, I don't know, but it'll be big, and they'll get some money out of it. So a severance is fairly simple, as we talked about a moment ago, and then they get some of the money they spend on this property back, right? But what I also talked to her about was a phase 0 up here. All right. So they have have you actually been to the site?
No, we've just spoken about it.
It's very beautiful. It really is. I've walked the whole site. And well, maybe not every part of it. It's pretty big, but I've walked a lot of it. And right up here on, it's called TV Tower Road. This is TV Tower Road. There's there's a something called Greystoke Stable and Equine Wellness Services. I have no idea what that really means. Okay, but it's some kind of horse thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's there. So what I suggested to Carina today is that on this part of the property, they might do something very simple and relatively quick. They might buy, you could pretty much on any property today in Ontario, you can get away with three residential properties. Your apartment, your house, your basement apartment, and a coach house or something like that. I think 3 is the magic number, and I think in Toronto now it's 5.
Yes, they've increased it.
Yeah. So, but I think you can. So what I suggested to Carina this morning is, when she sees you and Aaron, that maybe, and she likes your tiny homes, by the way. I mean, I'm not telling you anything she wouldn't tell you herself. But anyway, I thought phase 0 here on this part of the property, which is really fantastically beautiful, would be 3 tiny homes, 3 of those small workshops that I like so much. And then she has some agricultural, and I don't know if you can see it on your computer here, but there's a cleared space here. This is all cleared land. It's fabulous agricultural land. And so what I suggested to her, and we've talked about it before, not just this morning, that she'd do the micro garden thing and the bunkies, right? And I did tell her that you guys make not just tiny homes, but you make little cabins as well. They're quite beautiful, actually. And so there's an opportunity, I thought, for small living company maybe to sell 3 tiny homes here soonish, and possibly more stuff, maybe some workshops and some small, 10 by 10 or 10 by 11, bunkies that would go with the micro garden thing.
Yeah, no, I love that, and that's going to be part of the discussion today. We're going to see how SLC can sort of plug into various aspects of this sort of bigger phase development, obviously. But I like, that's kind of where our mind was at. We just didn't know how it fit in with her overall development strategy.
So, I am about doing the small things as well as I possibly can, because, you probably heard me say it before. If you take care of the small things, usually the big things take care of themselves. And if you don't pay attention to your the details and the little stuff down here, and you don't build a good foundation, it doesn't matter if you have grandiose ideas like I often do. If your foundation is crap, there's no hope that the big things will work. So I know 3 tiny homes is not the biggest thing in the world for a small living company, but it's something that I think would help.
Yes.
Because we did talk last month about some cash flow issues. So what I'd really like you to do today is sell 3 tiny homes and talk about the future. There's multi-res for Blair Capital, and there's all kinds of other opportunities here, but that's a year away or 2 years away. And we got to get there. We got to get from here to there.
Yeah, we need some base hits in between now and then.
Exactly. Base on balls even.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, I don't know if you're interested in doing workshops and the small sheds that would go in the micro gardens, but I know you guys could. And I did tell her, I said, I think you're going to look at a price of around $110,000 or $120,000 for these units. I just said that's what I think it will be. You'll have that discussion. And then I did go through the same thing I went through with you and Aaron, which is that tiny home financing with a manufacturer's rebate can be a home run for her. All right. So she's going to hit you up for a $20,000 manufacturer's rebate on these. So you want to think about the pricing, because she's going to, you're going to have a retail price. You know how this works, right? We've been through it. You're
Yeah.
gonna have a retail price, maybe it's 110 or 120, whatever it is, 125, whatever it is. Say it's 115 plus HST. And maybe you give her a $20,000 rebate, or maybe it's 120,000 retail price and you give her 20,000, whatever you guys work out. But it means that you will give her, a bill of sale for 3 tiny homes for 115,000 plus HST times 3, right?
Mhm.
And she can use that, as you know, to finance these units. And then from a separate company, you can then give her the manufacturer's rebate, which is not an income tax event for her, nor for you. All right, that's why.
Yep.
So, she got pretty excited about that.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk to her. I like her style a lot.
Yeah, she's a cool kid. I mean, she's in her 40s now, but she's a neat person. She's a real going concern. She calls herself the queen of land development. All
Yeah,
right.
no, I think there's definitely something there, and especially with the TV show coming up as well, I think there might even be a role there as well.
Well, she's an attractive person, which doesn't hurt either, you know.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing too that I suggested to her is that she does not do a Hammond Hill here. I said Hammond Hill is a lot of work. I don't have to tell you that. So I said if you have 3 tiny homes on the site and as phase 0 and 3 workshops and some micro gardens and some small bunkies, if you have that on site, um, your tiny homes would be rented essentially long-term rental, but using medium-term rental guest agreements. And she
Right.
said, why is that? And I said, well, I have quite a few now, not quite a few, but I have 4 or 5, maybe 6 people on medium-term rental agreements now. I bought a tiny home from you. I bought a tiny home from Humboldt Creek, and they're going to be medium-term rentals. And I charge HST on that. What does that mean? It means that for the Hammond Hill tiny home that Dawn bought, she's going to apply for a $14,000 input tax credit refund because she's going to use the medium-term rental agreement or guest agreement, right? So it's not even called a lease, right? And I've had
Yeah.
some people on medium-term rental agreements now rolling over every 4 months or every 6 months, typically. I've had one guy on that for 4 years. I suppose he could probably claim if he went to the rental tribunal, that's really a long-term rental agreement, but he's paying HST and he doesn't, we don't sign agreements longer than 6 months. And I did tell him when he signed up, I said, you are not protected by the Residential Tenancy Act, in my opinion.
Mhm.
He said, I don't care about that. And I said, it means that if you don't pay, I can kick you out. And he said, all right, I have good credit. He's a divorced man about your age, maybe a little bit older. And, he's been with us for 4 years. He pays his bills. And he has a micro suite and he loves it. He doesn't want anything else. He doesn't want to own a home. And he's glad he didn't buy a home in the pandemic. And now it's down 10 or 20%.
Jeez.
So he's glad he didn't. So he just pays his rent on a micro suite. And he's quite
Makes
happy.
sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, I think I would. There's some properties I would like to not own anymore. I can be honest with you. One of which we're partners in.
Yes.
It is for sale now, mind you. We had a showing yesterday.
Good.
Yeah, a Loyalist College came through.
Okay.
And well, they're a tenant there,
Yeah.
and they want to have a downtown presence. So I don't know if they'll put an offer, but it makes sense. They could have the whole building, students and staff, and
Yeah.
and their accelerator. So we'll see. I'll let you
Be a
know.
real that'd be a really good fit.
That would be a good fit. I mean, I'm kicking myself. I didn't think of it. Jeremy Lauren, who's one of their vice presidents, calls me up and says, "Hey, I hear it's for sale." I said, "Jeremy, I should have told you. I told most of the people, but not everybody." And Jeremy, I didn't tell him. And he said, "Well, we might be interested." I said, "Oh, great." Anyway,
There you go.
so that I think kind of sums up where Carina's at, and I would hope that you would be able to sell her, 3 tiny homes.
Yep. I'm looking forward to the meeting, so I'll let you know how it goes.
All right, thank you. So that was one aspect of what I did this morning. How's everything going with Blair Capital and Small Living Company? I know you're doing some fundraising and it's probably painfully difficult.
Yeah, no, fundraising on both ends. The small living company, we're still getting sales. Not as many as we had hoped, but I think I'm more optimistic today than I was a couple months ago. We parted ways with Jake. We're still with Nick because he is getting some sales, and we do need his firepower on the sales side, and he does a lot of paperwork for these sales as well. So yeah, we're still looking to raise $1 million for a small living company. We have one investor who might be interested in rounding that out. So we just have ongoing discussions. We're doing valuations with Baker Tilly at the moment just to get pre-money valuations. And same thing with Blair Capital. We finally finished the sixplex, and we're hunkering down for a couple months just to lick our wounds and again look to do a bit of fundraising. We have someone you might actually know her, Victoria Clooney.
Yeah, I know her well.
Yeah, so we're in discussions with her about her coming on as an advisor to Blair Capital for some equity share to help us raise some capital. So those discussions are ongoing. I think we've sort of tapped out our network for all the previous builds. So bringing on someone like her who has a big network and she's young and she's good on social media, I think
Well, she's really good on social media, and again, it doesn't hurt that she's an attractive person, right?
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
But
and I really like Victoria. She's a go-getter, and she has unlimited amount of energy. And she has one son. He's, I think, 11 or something like that. Have you seen him?
no, I haven't.
I'll tell you something. Victoria shared a picture of him with me, and her husband's very nice looking. She's beautiful. Her son is one of the nicest looking kids I've ever seen, and she told me, just shared the story with me, that he's such a nice kid. I mean, it's not just her talking. She would be legit on this. He doesn't even realize how good looking he is. How blessed he is. He won the genetic lottery. He's such a cute kid. But I really like her, and she's very good on that. And she's got a huge network of women who are interested in investing. So
Yeah, so
it's likely to be female investors, which is fine.
Mhm.
The one thing you will find about female investors is they tend to drill down more than men. Men will say, "Oh yeah, I like this idea. Here's $100,000."
Mhm.
Women will say, "Well, I'll invest $100,000," and then they'll have 20 questions for you or 30. So you have to be a little patient.
Yeah. So yeah, well, we haven't signed anything with her, but we have sort of an agreement in principle. She's doing some document review. We're setting up new share structures corporately as well
Yeah.
to accommodate that. So I'm optimistic about that. I think it would be great, and I think it's good for her as well. It gives her access to us and all of our developments, and she's
Yep.
now a
Yep.
small part of it of all
Yep.
that. So I'm optimistic about that on Blair Capital side.
Okay, good. Just so you know that everybody is connected in this town, and Victoria is also connected to Humboldt Creek.
Yes, I didn't know that.
Okay, just for full disclosure, I mean, Ottawa, Rockland, this area is Eastern Ontario is such a small business community. It's ridiculous. We've got,
Yeah, for sure.
if you add City of Ottawa, City of Rockland, all the municipal workers, provincial workers, federal workers, probably 200,000 employed persons in government, and there's probably 15 businessmen and women.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a
Not
small
very
town.
big. It's a
Yeah.
small. Eastern Ontario is pretty tiny.
Yeah.
It, it,
No, I see,
it,
I
it,
see, I see Victoria's role on Blair Capital. We haven't touched on small living company or tiny homes. So, and she was upfront with that as well, and
okay,
that's
good.
totally
I
fine
just
with me.
want to make sure that you know. But again, there's no way to avoid these kinds of things. I mean, if you're a lawyer, that's a little bit different. If there's litigation going on, you can only represent one party. I get that, but I would trust Victoria. I hope you trust me as well, and other people that you're friends with and that are in your network. To be, to find ways to benefit all parties. I think
Absolutely.
we can do that. All
Yep.
right, good. So how many sales have you, additional sales since last we talked at Small Living Company? 2 or 3?
Yes. Yeah, we just got another one. So yeah, it's been at least two. I think it's three since January.
3 sales since January. All right. Well, I'm challenging you to double that today.
Well, we are in discussions with the city about this property that we want to do a starter home community at.
Yep,
About 15 starter homes is what we're calling them.
yep.
400 to 800 square feet. And the mayor texts me once a week asking, when are we going to move on this? When are we going to move on this? They're very excited to support this. They even talked about bringing doing some infrastructure work for the property.
Yep. That's fantastic. Now, are these starter homes going to be on land leases or are they going to be on lots that are sold?
They're going to be on land leases.
I think that's the way to go.
Because then we make money on the sale and then we make money on the land leases.
Well, that's the Parkbridge model. And that's, just so you know, that's what I want Carina to do with her tiny hometown. Not the Hammond Hill model, as I said, you know, 4 or 6 month medium-term rentals. And then she can have some workshops there and she can have some micro gardens there and she'll make real money out of that. And the financing for tiny homes got a lot easier.
Yes, and it'll get easier. Rates are coming down a bit too.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be between 8.9% and 10.9% for your tiny home. But if you buy a boat, it's probably going to be similar to that.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, what the car companies do is they buy down the rate. They say, oh, we'll give you 4.9%, but really it's 9.9%. They just paid 5% down and they increased the price.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's a balloon. You squeeze it this way, it goes that way. You squeeze it that way, it goes that way. So
I'd like I'd like to add a component of that sort of longer term residential to Hammond Hill, but I'm not. And the city's open to it, but I'm not doing anything to that land until we can negotiate with Len. I
I
don't
was
want to
going to
rezone
ask
it.
you that. I didn't really want to bring it up, but I wrote it. I mean, what is the update there with Len?
So he has agreed to sit down and relook at the term of the lease to extend it. He doesn't want to change the terms, but he is open to an option to purchase. So if we just keep the exact same terms, make it a 10-year lease, but have an option to purchase for, call it $1 million. I know we had the land valued at 500,000, but just the option to purchase. When we do raise money down the road, we do have that option to just buy it. So I'm okay paying the $1 million if that's what it takes. So that's kind of where we're at. Aaron's going to do that portion of it. He's going to sit down with him. But if we can get him to agree to an option to purchase, we can purchase it whenever we want.
100%. And just to make you feel better, you know, my view is that if you, I don't do much realtor work anymore. I renewed my license last month, but this will be the last time. Like, you know, I love being a realtor and I've enjoyed it, but I don't really want to be in a Tim Hortons at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night trying to finish off a deal. That's for younger people. I like coaching, as you know, and my coaching practice seems to be motoring along okay. So I'll continue to coach as long as I can, but I think this is my last renewal for my realtor license. So I'll keep it for 2 years. That's what I renewed it for. So all that to say, if you tasked me as a realtor or Nick Cripps as a realtor to find you 62 acres of commercial tourism land, it would not surprise me if we've talked about it, if that was a $40,000 or $50,000 an acre purchase, because it's not easy to find 62 acres of CT land.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the city is willing to work with us on rezoning potentially, which would increase the value if we added sort of the longer term residential there. It gives us so much land to play with. And the city's also said that like one of the problems with the lot is there's no water there, so we have to go on well, but just down the road, probably about 300 meters, I think they said, was a water main, and the city would be willing, because we have such a good relationship with them, to extend. They'd have to look at the feasibility, but they'd be open to the possibility of extending that water main to Hammond Hill. But I'm not going down that road at all until we know that we have an option to purchase.
100%, because all you do is you drive up Len's asking price.
Yeah.
you know, it's like playing poker and you show me your hand before I bet.
Yeah.
That
So
was
we're trying to play chess here with that aspect of it.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that you know, is Len still suffering a little bit from some, you know, psychological issues?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't see him very often either, but nothing's gotten better. If anything, it's gotten worse just talking to people who are around him. So
Because
it's
that golf course is going to suffer at some point to the extent that it will inhibit his ability to continue operating it. I mean, you've told me that
well,
the facilities are degrading at an incredible rate.
yeah, there's about a million five in capital expenditures that have to happen for the roof and the driveway and the kitchen. I think ultimately Aaron and I are thinking that we just buy it.
Yeah, I know that. Well, I think if you could get a 10-year lease with an option to buy at $1 million, I still think that's a good deal. I do think that the land is worth 2.4 to $3 million. I do believe that. You know, maybe not right now, just because we're in a real estate recession pretty much everywhere. I think, I mean, you're Mr. Data, but I think, you know, I have clients in Florida, I have clients in Texas, I have clients in BC. Their real estate seems to be motoring along pretty well. Florida, Texas, and BC, maybe Hawaii. I don't know. I don't have any clients there, but I have clients in Idaho, I have clients in California, I have clients all across Canada. And I think the real estate values, we're not talking office buildings, which are plummeting to zero, but you know, residential and even multi-res and some industrial as well. It's down 10 to 20%, I think.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. And did you see? Oh, yeah, you sent me the Canadian Pension Fund
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
They sold
Oh, I
their
didn't know
office
it was
for
the
$1.
Canadian pension plan that it, you know, CPP had sold a 29% interest in a downtown Chicago office building for $1.
Yeah, that
So, I
tells you
mean,
everything you need to know.
in fact, I think the office buildings now have may have a negative value.
Yes, especially the ones on on long-term leases at high rents.
Well, you know, these buildings are emptying out. They report, I mean, Briefcase reports it, that, you know, uh, occupancies are about 80% and 20% vacancy or something like that. But that is not accurate in my opinion. I'm not data driven. I'm just basing it on the experience I have and discussions I have in the States and in Canada. And yes, they have some leases that are coming up in, say, 2025, but there's nobody in the building. And we've talked about that before. And when the lease comes up, maybe next year or the year after, they won't be renewed, and if they are, at much lower rates and for half the space. So I think the official vacancy rate is artificially suppressed.
Yeah, there's official and then there's a effective vacancy.
Yeah, I like that. That's a better term. How is Briefcase doing? I think you cleared the 40,000 subscriber mark.
Yeah, we did. We had 40,000, but we recently cleansed our list back down to 20, and we removed all the ones that weren't opening emails, and we put them on a different list. So yeah, we keep chugging away at Briefcase, and it's a fun little side project for me.
Well, I really like it. It's, you know, I don't read many newsletters, but I read yours, and not just because I know you, but it's really good. Um, but the other thing is, I saw that you're going to do, I think, what Ottawa Business Journal has done, which is create exclusive content for Briefcase Plus.
Hmm.
So you will have some subscriber money coming in.
Yes. Yeah,
And,
we're experimenting with that. So we're gonna do different types of premium content and just experiment with it over the next couple months.
and what are you going to charge people? I mean,
Uh,
I saw that email, but I don't remember what you're charging for Briefcase Plus.
yeah, it's $9 a month.
Well, you know, we talked about, you know, that back in the day, you know, getting some money from sponsors and advertisers, but also from subscribers. And I think Ottawa Business Journal, are you familiar with the fact that they have the insider, you know, thing? Uh,
Mhm.
I think that's been pretty successful. And I'm sure you know CNBC does the same thing, right? And
Yeah, pretty much every news outlet has some sort of premium.
yeah, well, I think CNBC, it's the Jim Cramer thing, right?
Oh, okay.
You know, Jim Cramer is like the stock picker guy, you know. So if you want to get his access to his, you know, advice, you have to pay a monthly fee. But I wouldn't pay 10 cents for stock market advice because I don't know anything about the stock market and I'm too old to learn.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in the stock market. It just seems to be a complete mess.
Yeah. I think I have like $500 in stocks.
No, I think I have way more. I think $1,300. So I'm you know, I mean virtually nothing at all. All right, well that's great. I'm really hoping that, you know, you can turn 20,000 subscribers. What could you get a 10% maybe 5% would convert to Briefcase Plus?
I'm not sure yet. It's early innings, so once I know, I'll let you know. But it's very difficult to convert from free to premium. But we're going to try different tactics and things like that. So I don't know at this point, but I'll let you know.
Well, I know the first guy who subscribed to OBJ, you know, insider only stories. The very first subscriber was Dave Perry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he just, you know, I started Ottawa Business News, as you know, back in the day. Now Ottawa Business Journal, and you know, he's been a supporter of mine much more than I deserve, I would say, for decades. And I, of course, I have nothing to do with OBJ other than I write the occasional article for them. But he as soon as he saw that, he said, "I'm going to subscribe," and he was their very first subscriber. I don't know how many they have now, but I think it's doing quite well.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I'd
Well,
actually
if you,
I don't subscribe though. I should.
well, you know, that's fine. But it is the best source by far for local news in Ottawa. It is, without doubt. They cover real estate, they cover technology. I find it quite useful. I can't remember what I pay every month, but it's not very much. But they have a few thousand subscribers, I think. So, you know, if you could get you know, I would hope you could get 1,000 people to sign up at $9 a month, because that would give you, you know, a little bit of income. Not very much, you know, 9,000 a month, but still, again, it's do the little things right.
Yeah, it pays the bills and allows us to put in some money into growth.
Yeah, so I don't know. Uh,
Could could we talk for 10 minutes about the tennis academy and then I'll have to run to get the kids, but
yeah,
is
okay. Yeah,
is there
so
anything else you wanted?
yes, I want you to write down N equals 1,000 paid subscribers by June of 2025 for Briefcase. I don't know if you can get there, but that would be a good goal to have.
That would be nice. That would pay a lot of bills.
It would pay some bills, and you know, so just write it down. I mean, I wrote it down. N equals 1,000
By
subscribers
June.
at $9 each. And you know, June 30th of next year. I don't think that's out of range. It means you'd have to find basically you know, 100 subscribers a month or 80 subscribers a month.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, there was a couple of other things just I wanted to mention again. And then I don't want to hold you up. I've talked to Aaron and he's hopeful and he has promised actually to get our tiny house, our Hammond Hill tiny house on the hill by April 1st.
Okay.
I just wanted you to take note of that.
Yep.
And in order to help us, you know, I asked him for some help as well. I do have your HST number. I got that.
Mhm.
And that HST number I mentioned to you by email has to be on all of your forms. You know, I wrote the retail sales agreement. I forgot to put it on. It was dumb. I should have asked you that, you know, a year ago. But anyway, in future, all of your documents from SLC have to have that, because you will be selling, for example, if you sell these 3 tiny homes to Carina, those invoices, bill of sale, whatever you call it, has to have your HST number. Otherwise, she can't get an HST refund. Okay?
Yes, yeah.
And what I would like you to remind and I know how busy Aaron is. I get that, but I do need some information. For example, I need to have the trailer registration.
Mhm.
You know, just a digital copy of it is fine. I would like a picture of the license plate. And the license plate, by the way, because I have to register the trailer in Dawn's name, right? I mean, this is part of what I've committed to. You know, the Bank of Nova Scotia financed it for us, so I have to do that. The trailer registration so I need a bill of sale from you just for the trailer alone.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Do Aaron and Nick know this?
Yes, but they're busy. And, you know, when I send an email to you, Nick and Aaron, who do you think answers me within an hour or less? I'll give you one guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll remind them.
super great guy by the name of Brad Cartier. Nick might be 2 or 3 days, and Aaron might be a week or two. And I want you to know that we will be doing our own medium-term rentals on this thing.
Yeah.
Right. We've got lots of contacts, people who really will enjoy it. I think the lease agreements will not be less than a month, and they will not be more than 6 months. So I won't do a long-term rental because that's not permitted by zoning. But if somebody wanted it for 6 months, I'd be fine with that.
So I'm interested in your opinion on this, and just on that topic, if you are full and you still have medium-term rentals and we put them in another tiny home, we can do a kickback or some sort of fee to
I would just refer them to. I don't care about the kickback. I don't want $20 from you or $100. You keep the money. You need it. But yes, I mean, we'd be happy to do that, and we're going to create like that lady. We'll create our own Facebook page, and we'll do our own Facebook marketplace advertising and all that. So we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
All
so for every one lead we get for the investor model at the Hill, we get about 10 of people who want to live. So
you're telling I know that, and so if they want to live at the Hill, I will do a medium-term rental agreement with them for 6 months, and then we would do another. We don't have a renewal in there because that renewal would make it a long-term rental. We do maximum 6 months, and then usually about a month before they say, "Hey, we love it here. We're going to renew. We'd like to stay for another 6 months." And I'm telling you, we roll these agreements over. Okay.
So the people who want to live long term, what I'm thinking is instead of turning them down now, we could just do exactly that. We'll say we can sign at 10-month intervals or 6-month intervals.
No, don't go longer than 6 months.
Okay.
So I asked Steve Shepard what separates a short-term rental from a medium-term rental and a long-term rental under the Residential Tenancy Act. And he said there's not enough litigation on this. There's not enough precedents to answer that definitively. So because it's still a relatively new industry, right? Relatively. So he said, in his opinion, short-term rentals are 29 days and less. Medium-term rentals are 30 days to 180 days, and long-term rentals are anything over 180. So my advice would be, in my opinion, you just friggin' start leasing these fuckers, long-term rental, but you use the medium-term rental agreement that, you have a copy of that somewhere on your computer. If you can't find it, just let me know. I'll send you another one, right?
Yeah.
You just do a 6 month and you charge them HST. Right? And if people don't like it, go somewhere else. And if you want, instead of charging $1,600 a month plus HST, you can bury the HST, but you have to say in the medium-term rental agreement. So it would be 1,600 divided by 1.13. So you would get $1,416 a month plus HST, which would equal, and I wouldn't make it exactly 1,600. I would make it 1,420, and HST would give you $1,619 or something like that. Just I don't want you to get in trouble. You won't get into trouble, in my opinion, with CRA, because CRA would give you trouble the other way if you didn't charge HST on medium-term rentals.
Right.
Okay? Will you get in trouble with the Residential Tenancy Act? Maybe. maybe.
Got it.
But it's worth the risk. And I have an opinion from Steve Shepard that medium-term rentals and short-term rentals are not covered by the Residential Tenancy Act. And that's what I'm basing my opinion on. You know, and I have a lot of respect for Steve. But again, there's not enough precedents to be definitive about this, okay? But it's enough for entrepreneurs like you and me to take advantage of it, and it will benefit the folks too, especially if you're working from home and you're in your little tiny home. If you have a little business there, or you're just working from home, your HST, at least some of that, you can recover.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So that's something that you have to be able to explain, or Nick has to be able to explain. And in terms of the workload on you and on Nick and on Aaron, it will be, and your buyers, it'll be a fraction. They won't make the same amount of money as short-term rentals, but they will have a lot more certainty and a hell of a lot less work.
Yes, exactly.
That's the Parkbridge model.
Yep.
And there's a reason why Parkbridge does. They do have some short-term rentals too. Parkbridge does, but most of it now is, well, actually, for them, is mostly long-term rental. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Simple.
I had a couple other questions before you talk about the other matter. Nick Butts, he called me, he wanted to, or he was thinking about investing $100,000 with you guys. Did he go ahead with that?
Yeah, and he mentioned that he called you, so he went ahead with half of it, and then the other half is going to come in the coming weeks. So yeah, no, that was great. He's a good kid.
He's a wonderful young man. Now, one of the things I suggested to him is that he put $50,000 in as an investment, and the other 50,000, if you and Aaron would consider it, would give him a direct ownership in one of your 6-plex, 10-plexes, that next one you build. So let's say you put in $500,000 of equity and sweat equity into it, and he puts in 50,000, maybe he ends up with 8 or 10% of the building. The reason I wanted him to do that is to get some experience and exposure to the actual end product.
Yeah, we did exactly that.
Good. Are you going to pay me a referral fee?
I have to pay Nick Cripps a referral fee.
I get that, but it was my lead.
No, Nick Cripps introduced us to him.
Yeah, I asked Nick to reach out to you. Anyway, I'm just saying. I'm a poor professor and I have to ask.
Well, no, because we're paying Cripps referral fee. This was months ago that he was going to sell Butts a property, but then he said, you know what, maybe it's better to invest in Blair Capital.
Okay. So that was a no.
That's a no.
All
I
right.
wouldn't be able to justify it to Brad and Andrew to pay 2 referral
all right,
fees.
fair enough. Okay.
But next one, Bruce, if you bring someone to the table, absolutely, we pay referral fees.
Fair enough. Okay. Talking about referral fees, there was a referral fee, which I had to reduce because I couldn't remember if there was another one, and there probably wasn't. But it's about 28 grand an HST. Is that something that at some point you could take care of?
Yeah. I think I was waiting on clarification on some of them from you, but I can dig up that email and we can. Yeah, we'll absolutely.
I have the invoice. I can send it to you. No,
I know the.
Sorry, I did change the invoice because I thought it was 8 referrals, and you told me it was 7. I think you were right, so I did change it.
Okay, yeah. If you can resend that, then
I'll resend it.
We do intend on paying that.
Okay, well, that would be excellent. Okay, well, that's it for me. Now, what was the last thing you wanted to talk about before you get the kids?
Just a quick update on the tennis. So I can share my screen. Can I share my screen?
I'll make you the co-host. Hang on.
And sorry, I only have about 5-6 minutes. But
if you do sell 3 tiny homes to Carina, can I get a referral fee on that?
If we sell her some tiny homes, yes.
Thank you. All right, that's helpful.
All
right.
Okay. I'm gonna share.
Okay, next. Share, it's a little green thing. There you go. At the bottom.
There we go. Okay, so just a quick update on timelines. So we've signed the MOU. Now the city is doing the rezoning and official plan amendment to change it from a business park to a community services facility.
Yep.
So they've done that within a matter of 3 weeks. The zoning and official plan amendment are done, it goes before council at the next meeting, and then they're going to transfer the land to our holding company after that.
Well, we talked about that. That's like an equity increase of a few $1,000,000.
Well, phase one, we got the Collier's appraisal back at 1.7, and that's the smaller of the parcels.
And if you look at the same price point for the other parcel, what would it be?
It would be about close to 3.
Wow. So that it could be like a $4 or $5 million equity bonus.
Yes, well, that's vacant land though, and we're putting structures on it, so the value is going to increase substantially.
No, I understand that, but you're getting that land for free.
Yes.
That's incredible. So that means a $4 to $5 million improvement in your balance sheet.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, what else? Did you have any questions, or it was just an FYI?
I just wanted to give you an update, but just to get you thinking about sort of as we plan this. Once we get some plans, I will circulate them to you. But the phase one is this soccer field
I
here.
want that. Yep.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So the other thing is the EQ development that's happening up here.
Yeah, yeah, across the river, right?
Yeah, they're putting in the 5,000 homes, and then the waterfront project that the city is going to be doing over the next decade. It's going to be 7 kilometers, and it's going to end right here at the tennis academy.
Wow.
So they have a bunch of commercial and high-rise plans for that as well. So it's quite the area. So I'd actually like to start buying up some additional properties in this area is kind of the thinking right now.
Okay, because you have to go get your kids. That's the one thing that Cyril Leader actually taught me, is that every time we would put a development in a location, the lands around us would go up in value. So he said, why not buy more land the next time you do a development? This is how much you need for the development. This is how much you buy. The value of the extra land goes up. And that's what we did with the Canadian Tire Center. We bought 600 acres of land. We paid $7.2 million for that, 12,000 an acre. We only needed 100 acres for the Palladium, the Canadian Tire Center, and its parking lot, which meant we had 500 acres of land left over. And that land is trading at, or last time I looked, it was trading at about $1.1 million an acre. So it went from, $7.2 million to, basically $500 million. Right. So I think that's very smart, Brad. If you can find some additional land in the area, you just buy it and you land bank it.
Yes, exactly. Buy it and sit on it.
That's great. Okay. Anything else before we break?
No, that's the updates from my end.
All right. See you soon.
All right. Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.